This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is the August 9th, 2023 COA Board meeting. We'd like to call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. Wow, 4 o'clock. It's the first time in like 3 years we've met in person. Wow. So This is great to see everybody. Although it's way easier to meet at home. But yes. But it's good to see. So welcome. So the first thing on the agenda after calling the meeting to order at 4. Do we have a clerk? Is somebody filling in for until we elect officers?
Let me do that,
please.
Thank you.
Just realized that Jim isn't here, and we have elections today. So do a good job, Susan.
What time did we start?
4 o'clock.
Thank you.
Call the meeting to order.
Okay.
And first thing on the agenda after the call is welcoming Christina Johnson, our new COA director, who has been overwhelmed after 3 days in the office. So I don't know if you want to say a couple things or.
Hello, I think I've met all of you either earlier today or. Well, I've only been here 3 days, so right. One of the days.
And again, yeah. Just as a reminder, on the record, we are being recorded today for Easthampton Media, or e-media. Okay. So, open time for the public. You're later on the agenda, you're good with that? So we can cross out open time for the public, and there is no reason to read all that language that we put in there in case there is. So we have the minutes from June. So did anybody bring a hard copy with them? So I was going to project everything, but I didn't have the proper connection, so my apologies. Will be, maybe next meeting we'll just meet in the COA boardroom, our COA room, since we're in the senior center, since we don't really need a separate room to meet in, we can schedule that. So anybody, when you reviewed the minutes, I'm going to turn you guys around so I can look at my minutes real quick.
I have 2 extra copies if you need them.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I know we're used to sharing things online, so it's kind of important because I don't want to try not to kill too many trees. So if you either have them on your laptop or bring them on your phone or print out your own copy, that would be helpful. And do we have any?
Okay, good for you.
We need a couple minutes to. I know I sent them. I know Jim sent them in June, and I sent them out again this morning, thinking you guys probably have no idea where they were since June. So, and do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I do.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Do we have any discussions on the minutes to modify? It's so weird to be in person. Okay. Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, even though Ted and Cindy are coming in remotely, they're not remote members of the committee, so we don't have to do roll call votes, we don't have to do any of that. So I'll put you guys back. So typically if it was for open meeting, if we have remote members, they have to, we have to do things a little bit differently. So I'm sure you all read that because I forwarded what Lucy sent. I'm sure you're all up to date on that. Yes, Donna.
I have one question. How did you get this?
So Jim Palermo sent them to us in June, but he may not have had your email. So I sent them out this morning, Donna.
Oh, I didn't look at email today. Crazy.
Just so you know,
Thank you.
I sent Kate's out, Kate's volunteer stuff out, or outreach, or whatever your title was.
A little bit both.
Or interim director, or whatever you want. So, okay, so did we say all in favor of compliments? Okay.
Yes.
We're good. Okay. All right, great. So yes, you should have them in your email now.
Okay.
And they're also posted, they will be posted now on mytowngovernment.org underneath Southampton. mytown.gov. No, not mytowngovernment.org. I'll look it up. I think it's my town.
Yes, you're right.
Government.org.
I just put them on.
They have been posted. They're there.
Yeah, June shouldn't be posted yet, but because we haven't approved them, that they will be posted. So, okay, but yeah, that's where they are. Chris is looking it up to confirm the original, the actual
I was just
name.
told my town myself, so I could be totally wrong.
Okay, so I'm going to close this down. Sorry, Ted, sometimes you and Cindy get to look at me. I'm going to look at all the good ideas I had about projecting live here. Nope, that's not it, sorry. Bear with me, folks.
I do believe you're correct, mytowngovernment.org. Thank you.
And another couple years, you'll understand that that's the correct answer. You are correct, so, no. So, Christine, I don't know if you have seen this, but I wanted to show this for mostly for you, because I know you met with Bradley.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay, so we get a monthly report to track the budget, and I usually kind of transpose it into a document to share with the group, but I thought if we could project, we could kind of have a learning opportunity, but
Yeah.
that's like planned. So it looks like for the end of FY23, the COA director's salary was at 100% spent. The COA wages, which includes part of the program coordinator and I guess part of the program coordinator, and moving forward, it'll be part of the volunteer coordinator as well. So that was at 98%, and then the expenses, the whole $1,229.62, we had $15 that we left on the table. Okay, so it was pretty good. We tracked that pretty well. And then for state and local, so the state formula grant, we had $24,012, and we spent $23,868.54. So we will have a carryover of $1,008 basically for this year. So we did a pretty good job spending that this year. And just while we're on the state formula grant, so next year, this fiscal year, we're going to get $14 per head instead of $12 per head. So our budget will increase. And thank you to the governor for approving that, and for the branches of our government for recommending that. I know that the MCOA fought hard for 14.
They've been trying for years, so that's great.
I know we were down to, they talked about going down to 9 at one point in time, but so we'll have a larger budget. I didn't calculate it out.
May I ask a question? When you say per head, are you speaking about the people that utilize the senior center?
So the way the state, do you want to explain it, Kristen?
No, go ahead. That's all right.
It's my meeting. No.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not overstepping.
I'm teasing.
I'm so new.
I know. Please
nothing.
ask any questions, because I don't want to make any assumptions, because it's easy to do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions. So the way the state formula grant is calculated is based on supposedly the census for 2010 or 2020. I'm not sure what the state is using right now, and maybe they report out of the Collins School or something, but our head count of seniors in town, according to them, is 2001. So we would get 2001 times $14 for our state formula grant for this year. Anybody do that yet?
2001 seniors, and it's $14
per senior, correct. So thank you for asking those questions, because it's...
So it's not just the seniors that use
No.
the center.
No, it's for every senior in
all
town.
the seniors.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
because some people use other things. They may use the van, they may never come to the center, but they may use the van,
So
for
it's
example.
28,014.
Okay, 28,014, great, thank you.
And the definition of senior is over 60 or 65?
60, over 60 and over, yeah. Okay, so that's about a $4,000 increase.
So that's the grant.
So that's the state formula grant that we use to support part of your salary for this year, the volunteer coordinator, part of the program coordinator salary, and a lot of the activities that we do within the center. And a lot of the expenses. Our expense budget is small because we use the state formula grant for a lot of those expenses. And by September, I'll let Christine go into that in more detail.
Yes, I obviously want to speak with you about some, because
Yep.
I got answered questions that Bradley could answer, but
Right.
there was questions he couldn't answer that were around grants and, like, in terms of what was actually used, you know, what should be applied
Yes.
to this.
Yes.
And yeah, okay.
We'll try to figure that out.
Yes.
Our goal was basically to make sure we didn't overspend.
No,
So-
yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then the last thing was the van. So last year we had 28,000 for the van, and as of the end of June, I guess, we spent about 22,000 out of the 28,000. So this year, our van grant is 30,000. So it's a reimbursable grant, so, you know, as we spend, we submit to Franklin Regional Transit, and they reimburse the town for it. Okay. Okay, everybody's good? Any other questions on that, the finance report? So we kept under budget, that's good. We didn't go too far under budget, which is good. And we have some more room to support some of our additions to the state formula grant for this year, which is also good, so. All right. Okay, let me get my friends back here. There you go. Okay, you're back. All right, your director's report.
I came.
Right, I can't.
And we're very happy that you did. I can't tell you how fortunate we are, I feel. We had some great candidates. I'm so excited that Ed and Joy selected you in the last round of interviews, and you come with the experience, which is always a major plus. And I think it looks like you've been well received on the first floor so far.
As I keep saying, everyone's been very welcoming, and I'm very excited to be here. So yes,
And I think
thank you for having me.
your comment this morning about you're here to absorb initially,
Yeah. Yep.
and then hopefully look for ways to improve.
Right.
And it's running pretty smoothly. People are very happy so far.
Right.
So
Why mess with that?
okay, so new and old business. Did I leave anything else out there? Not yet. Okay. So we have had a volunteer, because Joan was our representative to Highland Valley Elder Services. So we have to replace her. Her term is up, plus she no longer resides in Southampton. So it's a Southampton representative. So for the executive board, Francine Tishman has volunteered to take that role. Just to give you a little background, she had served on a number of boards, including New York State Rehab Council, New York State Rehabilitation Association, the International Association of Business, Industry, and Rehabilitation out of Washington, D.C., and the FAA Commission for Accessible Air Travel. So those are just a handful of things she's served on before. So, and as we all know, as we age, there's a strong correlation between people with disabilities and the aging population. So I don't know if anybody would like to say anything or make a motion or have questions. Yes.
HVES.
Is Highland Valley Elder Services. I mean, they do our Meals on Wheels. They offer a lot of support programs. I think the board it comes up to the Highland Valley board to approve a recommendation from the community, but typically we have a representative from either the board or from Southampton that serves on the executive board there. So does that answer those questions more or less? So I mean, they offer a lot of services, and I would encourage anybody to look them up, do a Google search on
Including
Highland.
home health care.
Yeah.
They have a whole huge arm that provides.
It's Highland Valley what?
Elder Services, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm one of them, but sometimes it doesn't sink in.
So we need a motion to
I move to recommend her.
Okay, a motion by Cynthia, a second by Sylvia?
Yep.
Okay, I think I missed something. Yes, I did. Okay.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
And Gina, could you say again that position that Francine was just,
Representative to HVES.
okay, thank you.
Executive board.
Yes,
Yeah.
for the executive board. Yeah, somehow I got to the director's report and forgot to go over the nomination and election of board officers. So we're going to go back to that on the agenda. I was so excited to hear the director's
Right,
report.
yes.
So yes,
Susan, do you need a copy of the the agenda?
I think I've got that, I
Oh.
think printout
Yeah, I just saw
here.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, then you can follow it, yeah.
so
Over the other page.
Okay, thanks.
So chair, vice chair, and clerk, those are the three key ones. And I would probably recommend that we add the treasurer. And as we go over kind of the guidelines for the COA boards, just kind of see the duties of that position. But right now, I've kind of been filling in that gap. And kind of, rather than having some huge treasurer's report, which we did for a number of years, to really finalize it and work with Bradley's report and kind of just keep the board educated on where we stand year to date, where we may be lacking, where we need more funding, other funding opportunities. Because we didn't go into the, when I did we talked about the expenses, we didn't talk about the earmarked ARPA funds for the Council on Aging, which is $50,000, which is paying our outreach worker, Kate, at the moment, so for the next couple of years. So that's another grant that we have. And Chris is also the head of the chair of the grant
Oh.
ad hoc, is it an ad hoc grant committee?
Oh, okay.
Put that head on.
Yeah.
And have been very helpful in working on some grants. So
Oh, good.
I know you have some experience with grants too, which is terrific. So I look forward to expanding that. But then the NCOA always has lists of grant opportunities on their emails, and so it's always important to kind of take a look at them and see if there's something that we go, oh, we could do that. Oh, it was due last week. So,
Right, yeah.
okay, so anyway, so our current officers, as you know, I'm the chair, Sylvia's the vice chair, and Jim was the clerk. So we'll open up nominations for chair.
I nominate, do I have to say it aloud?
I think you should say.
Doesn't want to commit.
Janet Payne.
What's her name? Yes, okay. All right, do we have a second?
I second it.
Do we have any other nominations for chair? Shall we close nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Our current vice chair is Sylvia Gavon. Do we have the nominations for vice chair?
Can I nominate Sylvia again?
There's no reason you can't.
Oh, okay. I thought, in case somebody was retiring.
Well, that's her option, yes.
Yeah.
but- Do we have a second?
Susan?
Okay, Susan.
Do accept.
You accept the nomination, yes. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, all in favor for Sylvia for vice chair?
Aye.
Great. Clerk?
you.
Yes, you think. Clerk, which is, Jim did a great job, Jonathan did a great job. They both are no longer on the board, so we need somebody that's relatively experienced in clerking. Do we have any nominations for clerk? They can always decline.
Nominate Susan.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
that. I don't think I'm great as Jem, and I do need a deadline like a week before or something, and then I can live
Okay.
with it. But I
Okay.
do have to be
Do
told.
we have a second then for Susan Seabold?
I
Second by
second it.
Sylvia, okay. Any other additional nominations? Close nominations, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
You do good notes.
Thank you.
I've read your notes before.
Yeah, you do very good notes, thank you. So we'll work on the treasurer after, it's hard to come in and be
Yeah.
brand new to the board and take over any elected position, so we try to avoid that. Try to give a person, I think, in our guidelines, an opportunity to be here a year before, and understand how everything works before you have to take on that responsibility. So I'll continue working with Christina on some of that. And again, it won't be necessary to do the in-depth because that's what we have an accountant for. So, but I always say, Bradley's the accountant, he's the one, he's the bank, and we're the checkbook. So they're never totally matched.
Bradley,
Town accountant.
is our town accountant.
Oxen.
Oxen. I always want to say skin.
so Bradley
Oxen.
is his first name?
Yes.
But it's not spelled like accent. Like
No,
accent.
okay. S-C-I-N?
S-C-I-n, yeah.
Oh, that's good,
Okay.
considering I'm just
That's
better.
very good. I've been doing this a year with him, and I cannot.
Yeah, his office is across the hall. basically.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
He was here trying to help me get set up to the
Oh,
TV.
okay.
Yes, I came at him yesterday with quite a few questions, so he was probably glad when I left his office.
That's why I said Christina was up here.
Yes, yes, poor guy. It was the end of the day, too, so.
Okay, so, open meeting law. Is there, has everybody taken a look at that document that you have to sign and submit that you reviewed the open meeting law guidelines?
Yes, I think I did.
We didn't have to read all 45 pages.
Oh, of course you did, and then you signed it. So let me just take a look at that. Hold on.
I did.
Yeah. Did everybody get a chance to do that?
Is
I think
what-
I didn't.
Is what Lucy
do that
said?
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But and it's not the ethics.
It's not
thing
the
that you have to
training
do every year.
online. This is to say you received the open meeting law information.
Was that in the email this morning?
I think it was
that
last week.
That was last week.
Okay.
I probably sent it out a second time because I think I sent it out.
Okay, and everybody
Before
needs
that,
to say that they received that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a sign, let me just see if I think I have it here. Okay, so it's at the very end of this 40-some page, and it basically says that you've received the open meeting law materials, and then you sign it, fill it out, sign it, and hand it in to the town clerk.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, so I'll look at it.
Okay, and if you can't find it, just
I'll
let me know, okay? Great. All right, and also I just wanted to mention, because there's a lot of things that we probably skim over, but I wanted to mention the one aspect of it, which is called deliberation. So open meeting laws, and let me bring Ted and Cindy back up to the front here so we can see them. So you can only deliberate as a board in a public setting, okay? Whether it's on Zoom, whether it's here in person, and it has to be a posted meeting. So when I send out an email, you can't respond with your opinion of what I've sent out, because that's a violation of open meeting law, okay? So if you have a question, you can contact me, but we can't share our opinions via email about any topic. I can send you documents, but you can't respond with your opinion about what I've sent out until we're in an open meeting. Okay, so I think deliberation is a kind of a interesting, so I'll read what's in the open meeting law, general law, that says deliberation is an oral or written communication through any medium, including electronic mail, between or among a quorum of a public body. So when you respond to all, then everybody's in that. So you have a quorum. So a quorum for us would be 4, because there are 7 members. Okay, so if you have a group of us downstairs and we're all at the senior center and there's 4 of us together, we can't talk about board issues. Okay, so I just want to try to, because there's a lot of new members, I just want to make sure everybody's clear on what deliberation means. So it says between or among a quorum of a public body on any public business within its jurisdiction, provided, however, that deliberation shall not include the distribution, so this is what we can do, can distribute a meeting agenda, scheduling of information, or distribution of any procedural meeting, or the distribution of reports or documents that may be discussed at a meeting, provided there is no opinion of a member is expressed. Okay, so that's just one of the biggest part, I think, of open meeting law and town government that I just want to make sure everybody is clear on. Because again, we have new members joining us. We have new members here that just joined us.
Board, so.
Yeah, so I think it's
Very
important to try, and I can answer any question, but if you get a chance to go through this and you're kind of new, I mean, it is a lot of pages, 40-some pages, but there are certain things like, you know, what is a violation that, you know, it's important that everybody understands it. Okay, so please don't respond to my emails to the whole group, reply all and you know, throw out your opinion, and that's a violation, so.
Don't
okay?
spill the beans.
You can always respond to just me, because that's not a quorum, if you have a question, for example.
I was going to say, there's a difference between formal opinions and casual ones, as you're talking.
Well, if it's an opinion about a subject matter under the jurisdiction of our board, even informal.
Can you give an example?
Yeah.
Ask a question?
Yes, Dennis, go ahead.
If I'm playing pickleball and Susan's playing pickleball, the two of us can maybe say things.
Right, because that's
If
not a
you're
quorum.
there and Chris is there.
No, Chris isn't a part of our board.
Oh, that's right, okay. I just wanted to get to a quorum, you can't say.
Well,
Right.
okay, so Donna's there and Janet's there, so now there's 4 of us.
So we
So
shouldn't be
should not-
talking
we
about
should not be
anything
talking.
about that we may have discussed in a
Okay.
board meeting or
Okay.
anything in an upcoming
Okay.
board meeting.
Okay.
I mean, to give a specific example,
Yeah, okay.
it's hard to just come up with a simple, but if it's anything to do with business that would be part of our board, if there are 4 or more people there, that
Like
should
if
not take place.
We were discussing a possible new activity for the senior center. You know, you and I could say, you know, what might be a good idea if we did something like this? We could say that, or and Sue. But if 4 people are together, we just can't casually
We
discuss it.
shouldn't be
It
even
has to be
casually
in a formal
discussing if
setting.
there's a quorum there, correct.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know.
Okay,
Wow.
very strict laws, Mass General law, yes, yes.
I'm in trouble for that, so.
And we have a lot of, you know, relatively newer folks serving, so it's important to really be clear on that up front, so. But if you have any questions, you can always ask me a question. I don't always have the answer, but I'll try to find it for you, okay?
Janet,
Yes, Ted?
excuse me. Could I request that someone on the board ask to move agenda item number 9 and handle it next? Which I think is the public safety report from Cindy.
I'll make a motion to move agenda item number 9 to the next agenda item. Does anybody have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Okay, Cindy. Cindy is the representative for the senior community on the Public Safety Building Committee. So they've been meeting for some years, but they have a new, I'll let you turn it over to you with your new contract.
Okay, great. Welcome everybody that's new, and I know just about everybody. And Christine, or is it Christina?
Christina.
I'm sorry,
Christina, no
Ted and I
problem.
were not able to be there today. We actually are on vacation. So moving forward, your rep to the board prior to this time was Renee Groden, who was liaison between the select board and both building committees, the Senior Center Building Committee and the Public Safety Building Committee. And as she's no longer on the select board, I have been presenting a report right along to the Friends of the COA, and now I'm very happy to additionally include the board of the COA. So that's why I'm here today. I've been a part of the Public Safety Building Committee since, or the new one anyway, since its inception, which has been about greater than a year at this point. So I'm not going to go back on history, but if anybody who's present has questions directly for me, I'm happy to answer them. But the good news is we've finally gotten to the point of hiring a firm to perform the feasibility study. It's a firm out of Charlestown, Mass, which is called HKT. And fortunately, the contract was very recently signed. And also, we were able to do our first meeting with one of their principals, a woman named Janet Slamenda, this recent Monday, just a couple of days ago. Janet was very prepared. Her colleague was on vacation, so was not present. Janet was very prepared and had a PowerPoint presentation and was able to go through the process that will now happen and now take place. First of all, she asked for a lot of input in terms of vision for our community. So for those of you who are perhaps new to this, we are currently have a fire department in a Civil War era building. Look out the window, you can see it. It's very small, very inadequate in multiple ways. We have a police department in a turn of the century, and that's the 20th century old town hall, which again, and they're in the basement, which again is very inadequate. We have attempted in the past to move forward at town meeting to secure the money to build a public safety building, and it failed. And I think that was about 8 years ago. It failed. So a new committee has been formed, and with representation from several other boards and committees. Some of the positions are currently open, as well as at large. The point I just made about the feasibility, the firm that will perform the feasibility study will be combining the information that we, the committee, will provide, as well as members of the community, on what our vision is, what we need. And then from that point, they'll move towards determining space needs design. They will also perform a site evaluation. We've provided them with 4 geographic sites in our town. And for those of you that are familiar with what happened with the Senior Center Feasibility Committee, they're the same 4 sites. We know that one of them is the site that the Senior Center Feasibility Committee proposed to the Select Board be the site for the future Senior Center. But unless there's new information, and maybe Chris can chime in if there is new information, we're still on hold as to whether or not that site is yet finally determined to be the Senior Center. So part of the job of the Public Safety Building Committee is going to be to say whether or not we'll use all 4 sites as potential sites for a public safety building, or chop down one site, being the one that might be the Senior Center, and only have 3 sites. Ultimately, the feasibility study will probably only zoom in on 2 and maybe even only 1 site, based on all the factors that they're going to look at: the environmental factors, the space needs factors, the cost of site preparation, and all the other aspects of it. So that's the next part of what they're going to do: site evaluation. Then they're going to come up with a conceptual design, and then they're going to give us project cost estimates, and they're also going to assist us with community outreach, and that is absolutely so critical in our community. I'm pleased to hear that the seniors 60 and older represent 1/3 of our town, so that's very big. We need to engage people 60 and older in our town to understand what's needed and understand the potential for what can be provided. It is going to be an expensive project. The costs have increased on every site, every aspect of building, no matter what you're building. So we know that's all going to be part of it. The next step after the recent meeting is for our committee to determine which of the 3 dates the the woman from HKT gave us to have herself and her colleague come to town, look at sites, just kind of a look-see, meet with the police department people, meet with the fire department people, and they've also been provided a written questionnaire that they should be completing right now and will provide to her. So there's, it's all about data collection and moving forward. So that's where it stands right now. All this should be completed, the whole process, no later than perhaps late March or the beginning of next year. So there's a whole set of dates that we will be looking at to try to meet the needs. The next meeting of the Public Safety Building Committee, which are all public meetings, as Janet just explained open meeting law, all of our meetings are public. They are held in the room where you're sitting right now. And the next one is going to be, likely going to be August 28th at 4:30. That's a Monday afternoon. And if our prediction of having the HKT people come on August 31st, we're going to be able to sort of tighten up some of the things that we, the committee, need to do in advance of that August 31st meeting when they come to town. Chris, who's sitting with you right now, is also part of our committee. And Chris, I welcome if you think there's something else I need to say right now. Is anything else you think we need to bring to their attention?
No, I don't think so, Cindy. I think that captured it. The meeting did a good job just kind of giving the overview of the process and just understanding all the different steps that they'll go through with the committee. And they will be present whenever we're going to do town meeting kind of thing. They will be present to present at town meeting, but we would have another public meeting sometime probably in the fall to give town people an update and also get input from the townspeople about, what the whole thing is looking like here. So it's going to be a big project for sure, but at least it's finally off the ground. So it's about, I don't know, 5 months delayed probably, easily, I'd say, from where we started. So we've got a lot of catch-up work to do, but they're on board for about a 6-month time frame is what they're aiming to finish the design process anyway.
So Cindy, I think one of the most important things from my perspective for this group, and as you're our representative from the senior population, is to how will you plan and how can we engage the seniors so that they are part of the process. And I think, as the person that represents the seniors in town, that would be a critical role that I see you playing. So
I totally agree, and I'd like to kind of plagiarize your great ideas for engaging people at the senior center, and perhaps recommend a couple of engagement sessions where we bring people into a room, we allow all forms of communication, be it spoken or little sticky notes or something that, questionnaires, etc., that bring forth everybody's ideas and also questions. We really want, by the time we get to town meeting, we really don't want anybody in the town of Southampton, any adult, to say, oh, I never would heard of this project, because that would be unfortunate. We really want to keep everybody informed.
30% of the population, but it's 50% of the voting population. So that's a group that we certainly want to make sure are well educated, well informed moving forward. Yeah.
And I think I would just add one thing. I think there was a little bit of a different process in terms of the conceptual need and space needs between the senior center, future senior center, and the future public safety building complex. And a lot of work is going to be done by both the police and the fire chief on this in terms of what do they need. I mean, the fire chief yesterday or the other day was talking about, people forget that we needed, a lockup. We need a interview, investigation room. We need to, all these kinds of things that people don't think of when you think of, big rooms that you need. So a lot of the needs of that center is going to be very much determined by what the police and fire need. But we'll obviously get other input. So it's a little bit different maybe.
Well, I think it's similar because I think it was Joan, Rini, and myself that worked on those needs and assembling those needs on behalf of the senior center. So, and what the real needs of the senior center versus the larger committee. So that was kind of our role, not being engineers or architects. Right. That was the role.
But I guess my point is, I missed my point. So the point is that I think that
I missed
the public is going to have much more access to the senior center. So having the seniors come in and say, hey, an outside garden, a quiet room, all that, absolutely essential. It's very, well, very different, but it is different.
Really explained
the use of the fire and police station are going to be, we need to know what's in there and have some input, but the real use is by the fire and the police staff, obviously.
That's clear, it's not used by everybody. They get the services.
Unless you want to go in. But, if you want to get arrested,
get locked up.
You want to see the inside of the lockup, I'm sure that could be arranged. But so it's a little bit different.
I'm going to say that the woman who came from HKT gave an example of another community where she said it was a nice, lovely community, probably like Southampton, and the person said, why do we need a police department? We don't have any crime. Well, that obviously was a crazy statement to make, because police don't just catch criminals, they do many other things. They are a part of the whole safety complex. So it's all about education and understanding. And having said that, and I don't want to take a lot more time of your meeting right now, I'd like you on the board to be thinking of questions that might be straightforward in your mind, but they might not be, the information may not be as clear to everyone else. So feel free to send me an email. Again, we can't, you can't discuss all this online, but you can send something directly to me as your representative. And my email, my first name is Lucinda. My email address is LucindaMail. That's Lucinda Mail at yahoo.com. And I never,
I'll get that out.
Even if you wanted to say, Cindy, can you call me up sometime? I'm more than happy to connect with you. Or if you, the professionals on this staff, I mean, we're all professional, but you know, the staff here, either Kate or Christine, if you want to invite me to anything like a coffee or anything, anytime, just to kind of talk to people.
I was thinking of that.
Feel free to do that. We'll do our best to coordinate that. Okay? Great.
And I'll send everybody
that's all for today. And I'm going to email you the report that I sent to the Friends of COA, and I do one every single month, so it can be part of your minutes. Okay. So it's essentially what I just said right now. So,
and your first comment, there's been no changes to the senior center position or location. I mean, there hasn't been any movement forward, but that will come. So our desire is still to move forward with that particular property. So hopefully, when we receive the funds, we'll make that move based on the town. That's out of our job description purview here. So, but thanks.
Okay, great. And I hope to be present at some of your future meetings when I extricate myself from Vermont, which is not going to be an easy thing to do. You guys later.
All right, thank you, Cindy.
We got Ted now.
Yeah. So, just curious, if Ted, we can skip the board policies and documents unless that's something you wanted to also participate in and go to the recommendations for the board, or were you planning on staying on? I don't want to hold you up either.
No, I'm going to stay on.
Okay. Didn't know if you had a scheduled pickleball game or something. So.
No, I'm cold turkey.
No. Well, sorry to hear that. Okay, but thank you, Cindy, again. All right, so we sent out I sent out a document that was from 2019 that was our kind of policies and procedures, maybe called bylaws. And I'm going to turn you around again, Ted, so you get to see me and I get to look for my document. I was hoping to project, but okay. And let me come back and share that with you, Ted, okay? Since we're going to be on it for a couple minutes. Okay. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger here, if I can figure out how to do this. Nope. It's Zoom, but it's not the Zoom I want. Hold on. Okay. So, did folks get a chance to kind of peruse it in your leisurely time?
I read it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'll get it to you too. Yeah, I had sent it out before you started.
Yeah.
I figured you had enough, but I will get it to you. So
great.
I just highlighted a couple things that I'm going to ask people also their feedback from when they read it. So one of the things that I want to highlight. So it starts out with the name of our board, kind of the purpose, the officers in town, where we're officially located, our mailing address. That's a 7-member board. The one thing that it's kind of unique, I think, to our board versus other maybe boards in town is that we have a term limit. Okay, so we have 2 full terms. So if you join the board 3 months into a 3-year term, that doesn't count. You need 2 full 3-year terms. Okay, and then that individual at the end of their second full 3-year term is requested to step down for a year off the board. Because I think what the goal of the board was at the time was to get new, fresh ideas and kind of help churn things. So, for example, this is the end of my second 3-year term this year. So, hope you're ready, Sylvia. So anyway, it says that board members will be required to leave the board for a minimum of 1 year before they are eligible to reapply for membership. If a member is filling a vacancy for a previous member, their term will not begin until the vacancy period has ended. That's kind of what I just explained. So, so that's one thing that it's kind of unique to our board, and I think is a healthy thing. Because I think we found that some boards just kind of stagnate. So, and then the other thing, section 12, the annual meeting has always been the first Wednesday in the month of May. So I think in April, we said, well, we're gonna get new board members in the month of, at the end of June, or maybe sometime in August. So do we really wanna have our actual board annual meeting in May before the new members have joined us? So I think we talked about changing that to August instead of May. I'm not sure why it was May, that's how it was set up at the time. So that's something we need to take a look at. And then it talks about a treasurer, it talks about all the officers and kind of the responsibilities of the officers, the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, as we call them here, and the treasurer. And basically all it says here for the treasurer is they report to the board on financial matters. It doesn't say they give a full-fledged treasurer's report, but if anything that they discuss with Christina, he or she discusses with Christina that we think is important to share, which is what we've been, trying to do on an ongoing basis. Okay, and then a yearly budget, monthly statements of expenditures, and all financial accounts for the Board of Council on Aging shall be reviewed by the treasurer. So we work closely in the past but during budget season with the director. So that's subject to change. So with a new director, those were kind of the things that popped out at me that were kind of unique, and I don't know if anybody else. Ted, are you getting dizzy as I'm whirling through this document?
No.
Okay, good. Any other thoughts or comments that people saw? What I thought of, maybe we should set up maybe a subcommittee to kind of review it, maybe look at other bylaws from other procedures. It's really not a town bylaw. We have a town bylaw that says we're an advisory board. That was changed a few years ago. We used to be kind of a standalone board, and the director reported to us, and it kind of created another silo in town. My opinion at the time, and my recommendation at the time, was to become an advisory board and have Christina report to the town manager and the select board through the town administrator. So I think it's more connected with the rest of the community in the town. So again, my opinion, and I think it was the opinion of the board at the time. So
yeah.
So any thoughts on that, or anybody would like to kind of volunteer to review it a little bit more? And
I would like to.
Okay. So
I think a board in the senior center is a unique board, and there should be more flexibility in terms of people having to leave. Because I'm 84 going on 85, so how long I will be able to do that. So what if you're left with a bunch of people who are having to suddenly leave, I think the officers and things, there ought to be more flexibility that you could, by a vote of the board or whatever, so I'll just look into it.
Yeah, and who else would like to kind of join Cynthia in that? I'll work with Cynthia on that.
Okay. I'm not thinking it's going to be this huge thing.
No, it won't be. I think we used, maybe at the time we had a person that used to be the director from Great Barrington, and I think she brought with her these kind of policies that they use there, similar to this, and that's kind of, we modeled, had a great discussion and kind of modeled it after, some of their ideas. But it's one community, so I'm sure there's other examples of COA boards that have guidelines that they follow, and I think it's and MCOA has their guidelines, so we may want to look at that, but I think those are all good ideas and should be refreshed. That's why it's here. So we probably started this 5 years ago, finally got it approved by the full board back in 2019, and I think it's time to take another look at them. So that's great. Thank you. And we'll figure out something. But rather than take up a lot of time during a meeting, I think it's always good for a subcommittee to report in, and then we have an active discussion. So,
Yeah.
just my thought. Okay?
Good, good.
All right. Happy I could find it. All right. Ted's back when he comes back. All right. So, also, members of the board are not elected by this board, okay, new members, they're appointed by the select board, okay, so this board reports to the select board. We have always made recommendations to the select board on people that we find that are interested, and so we have two members, potential members with us today, Dennis Vogel, hi Dennis, and Ted Palmer. So we lost Ted for a minute, so I'm gonna ask Dennis, do you want to say a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the board?
I was thinking about this. My wife got involved in the board like 10 years ago where I took some art classes and was just really pleasantly surprised about the camaraderie she felt, and you know, you can have ideas about who might be at these things, and it didn't happen that way for her. And I think as you get older, you know, when I've been retired for a while now, and I just had a whole bunch of friends and whatever in Springfield, and because I worked there, and you know, it can be isolating living out on a former road. And I just found the whole process of playing pickleball and meeting a lot of people through that, and I said, wow, this is something that the COA sponsored and it just seemed like just a really good way to get people out and about. And now I know so many more people in town just from playing with them, and you know, and pickleball is just it felt right, and so I feel like I have more to give, and I'd like to be part of it.
Great, thanks, Dennis. Ted, are you there? Okay, we'll come back to Ted. He thought we were going to be talking more about the policies. So, and thank you, Dennis, for coming. And for me, it's also important to keep some diversity on the board, and so I'm always excited when we have not just the same gender of folks, so it's great to have you and Ted step up and be interested, because you come with a different perspective. We're not here, we can talk about what we think we need to offer men in town, but you and Ted will have much better ideas about that than, in my opinion, than we will. So, so Ted should be back momentarily, but do we have...
What do we do since it isn't...
So we make a recommendation to the select board. So I'd like to make a motion to recommend Dennis Vogel as a new member of the COA board, and pass that. He's submitted paperwork, and hopefully it'll be on maybe Tuesday's agenda. I'm not sure, Chris, but for... Okay. I know Ed has the paperwork, because he said, do you know Dennis Vogel? I just got an application from him. So do we have a second to make a recommendation? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, and when Ted comes back, we will rearrange our schedule. So I'm happy to do that. Thank you, Dennis, for coming, and welcome. I mean, there have been times where we've made a recommendation and the select board has declined the recommendation. Not this board, but anyway. So, so it's possible that, you know, I mean, it really is their final decision. So,
There's Ted.
there's Ted. Okay, Ted, can you? We're just going over recommendations for membership to the board. So you're muted, Ted. You're muted. I'm sorry.
I lost my camera for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, having lived in Southampton for some 29 years, and in recent years, I've seen the activity of the board in the senior center. I've used the exercise equipment at the senior center. and have certainly grown to value the work that they do. So I will be happy to take a shot and see how I can assist.
Great. Do we have a recommendation for
I move to
Edward
recommend.
Palmer? Okay. Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And Ted, I don't know, did you hear what we were saying about?
I did.
Okay, great, thank you. So glad to have you guys on board. And yes, I think you will bring in some new perspectives for the group and help. I mean, I know we're an advisory board, but we have always been pretty engaged with the center, so hopefully that continues as well. Hopefully you don't alienate ourselves from Christina too quickly.
Right.
So. All right, so we will put those names forward for the next select board meeting, I guess,
Which is Tuesday.
which is Tuesday. Ted, you're not back yet Tuesday, are you?
Sunday they're coming back.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, so I don't know if you and Dennis want to attend that meeting. Is it good for them to be there?
You can, you don't have to. It's not mandatory, but if you wanted to just introduce yourselves, that's fine.
It's here in the building.
It's here at
It's
6.
downstairs in the big room near the town clerk's office, right? Between
First
COA and
floor.
town clerk, yeah. And it starts at 6.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay,
6
great. I
o'clock
think
on
it'd be
Tuesday.
great. Good, thank you. Okay, so Susan, I don't know if you saw on the agenda, the overview of the new website for the Council on Aging.
All right, who's looked at it?
I didn't know there was a new one.
Do you want to try to get there
You did?
Okay.
from here?
Well, I did bring my laptop. Can you
Okay,
get it on
good,
there?
good. No, I can do
Because I
it.
don't have, service. I don't have internet here.
You could easily get it.
What is, what would I do to get in, do you think?
None of those.
So is it off of My Town Gov, Susan?
TOS guest. Town of Southampton guest.
Yes.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
it's
okay,
off of the
perfect.
town of
Yeah, okay.
Southampton, right?
Yes.
I should do it.
Because if I bring it up here, then Ted can watch it
Yeah,
too.
okay. And now I'm gonna do town.
Town of
Of
Southampton.
Southampton.
Okay.
So maybe I can mimic it over here, Susan, what you're doing.
Yeah, we've had an effort over the last few months that I've been part of too, where we've updated our website. Our website was just terribly archaic. It served its purpose. It served its purpose,
It
but you
was
had to
not
really
friendly.
dig for,
Yeah.
to find something, you had to go through like, 5 or 6 clicks to get there. And so we've had a massive overhaul.
Oh, yeah,
Council
and
on
then,
Aging
because I think you
Board.
know this better than I do. So then to get to the Friends of COA or COA?
No,
No.
COA.
COA.
So you go, there is a, when you go under government, a Council on
Under
Aging
government?
Board is listed.
You're going to be under 4 here probably.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Down.
This is when I just wanted to be able to share all of this on the big screen. My apologies. Ted gets to see it.
All right, so here we've got,
So we have it kind of both places, so.
So I guess I've only seen the new one. I didn't realize
You didn't
it was
know.
new. Right.
It went live about a month ago.
Oh,
or
okay.
6 weeks ago.
okay, so we've got on the calendar a meeting here, and even says this must be the second floor, a meeting at
Yeah.
August 9th. So we've got that, and we've got our present chair and members.
So we may have to update that, right?
We'll
Yeah,
update
yeah,
that
yeah.
after Tuesday probably, yeah.
Yes, after Tuesday.
Okay,
Yeah.
And move Susan from member to,
yeah. Okay, and so will we do that? Will we make this change?
Yes.
yes.
Okay,
Yep, so that's the other thing. So we've gone from a part-time on-call person to be kind of a website person for us, as well as the town administrator who really doesn't have time. We've basically made it so that every department, committee, board, there's one person who's been chosen, came to training, and they're responsible for doing the update. So they've got only their page or their area to deal with, but we're relying on them to
Hopefully
do the updates.
changes are
Right.
more.
Exactly.
Or
So
quicker.
it's timely,
Yeah.
it's more timely and doesn't get
Yeah.
stuck in a
If you
backlog.
remember to do
And
that.
like on this one, for example, I see at the top of this, there was something about, go further up, purpose or something at the top. So you might want to fill in a little bit there, general responsibilities and duties, for example. I think you should
Recent update.
put something in there.
Blank.
So that comes up Like if you go onto the Southampton website, then that one.
Yeah, if you look under
something
boards.
and
Yeah,
that
so
shows
across
up.
the top, it's explore the town, get connected, and then go into government. And under government, it's under the boards. And
So Chris, you
committees.
said there's a line that says,
General responsibilities and duties, it's empty, so you should fill
we
in
see
something
that?
under the
I don't
line.
see it here.
Yeah,
But let's
it's
look.
It's on the top.
It's right there, the top,
I see
Yeah,
recent
under
updates.
No, to the right.
Council on Aging Board.
the very top line.
Very.
Down, no, down.
Okay, recent updates.
Recent updates, general
Under
responsibility.
Council
Okay.
of Aging.
Yeah, that's what I
So-
said, recent
okay.
updates,
So,
okay.
right, so it doesn't describe anything under the general responsibilities, which
Yep.
most of the pages have done that.
Okay, so we'll
All
do
right,
that.
where would we get that information on gender responsibility?
We can
That would
look
come
at-
out of the bylaws?
Yeah,
some
we
of
can
that
look at that
information?
document
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
maybe work together on,
Yep.
on putting that cohesively together.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
And then we can go
anytime there's
there.
a meeting that's scheduled through the mytown.gov, it'll show up on this page too, so the calendar keeps going.
All right, and because I vacationed all summer, the password that I know I needed to access this, somebody was going to send me a password, I'm going to get through.
Megan or Dan would have done that.
Okay, so I'll go through Megan.
Because you're
again
going to be on the
access
back
that.
end
Yeah,
in order
yeah,
to
yeah.
edit this, okay?
So Susan was our volunteer from the board to get trained on
Can reach out to either
kind
Megan or
of
Dan.
our
Okay.
input person. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a place to put pictures, something that
Yeah,
makes it
you can do, yeah,
attractive
can
or-
I just go to another?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me see if I can find somebody, I don't know what. Go back up here maybe. So let me pick up, for example,
So Donna's not on here yet because she
Okay,
started
okay,
July
yeah.
1st and then,
so this is under the Ag Commission, for example. Sorry, I'm turning it around a little bit.
No, let's go right ahead.
So they had a brochure, for example, about agriculture in Southampton, so that's put up there. This had, part of the brochure had little maps of where the various local town farms and farmers market, not, well, yeah, the sort of farmers market places are. But yes, you can put up photos. Yeah, you definitely can put up photos and all sorts of things, yeah.
so Chris, if we want to add new names to the
Yep.
COA, COA board for the email link, to contact the board, we would put in the names of, I mean, we have everybody usually listed. Who updates that?
That's going to be Susan too.
So she can get in and put
Yeah.
everybody's
So
email
everybody,
address
yeah.
in.
So
Okay.
Everybody with, the name of the people on the board as well as their term expiration and all that kind of stuff.
But for the email address, she can modify the email
I believe
address
so.
and include them.
Should be able to.
And we could have activities.
Yep.
photographs.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
Sure.
the COA,
Look at-
the senior center has its own page.
Okay.
Can you bring up the senior center page?
Actually, I've been running it
You've
for the
been
past
running it,
month.
yeah.
I got a crash
Okay,
course
shocking.
from Megan.
Yeah. You've been running
The one that
everything.
wasn't trained.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I wasn't trained, no, I was
Yeah.
on the board.
It's going to be under
Um,
town services.
I'm realizing I need to delete something off of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm like hours, but other than that,
Right.
He knows a lot about that, doesn't he?
Tony's good with the computers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so,
And-
but do you want to go into what you,
I think that's what it is.
so I think I pulled up.
Yeah, so
just
I need to
COA.
delete that top part, so I'm glad we're having this conversation.
The COA one.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is the COA.
But you'd have to log into it to
I
do that?
log in and then I go to my specific page. So with
Right.
our email login, I only have access
To just your page.
just to this page.
Yeah,
So
okay.
what ends up happening is there's a whole text box that you can update, and all of the text for the page is in this big text box. So you can like italicize things, bold things. I haven't figured out how to change the color yet, but that's hopefully next. And that way we can list things, add things, delete things, and then up on another corner, there's a way to add photos. Adding documents, like, so one of the things that I updated was the senior scoop for this month. And so we had the Christina's welcome reception.
I'm on there.
invite. Yep. She keeps finding herself all over the place. So the senior scoop, it says updated 7/13. I updated like a new document that had our additional hours, some additional programming that we had added in
very
August. And so it was easy just to kind of delete the last link. There's ways to upload documents if they're not hosted on another website, so that they're hosted on the back server for the website.
Yeah.
So you kind of just upload them and then it links it. I'm happy to sit and do some stuff with you.
Yeah,
That's great.
Kate obviously seems like an
Does
expert,
Megan
so.
still come into the COA?
She's coming to her first day back is September 11th. She's gonna have, so the Monday after
So Megan is our tech support person.
Oh, okay. All right.
Has the 20-minute classes.
Right,
People
I
come
saw
in.
it on
Yeah.
the schedule.
She's back September 11th?
She is, yeah, and I
Okay.
emailed her, she got back to me within a couple hours
she's
with
really
like
good.
the login and how to reset the password and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
she's really good about it.
She was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good.
And this, I think, for those that are using to do the updates, I think we're finding it's pretty user-friendly compared
Okay.
to the old thing.
Finding where to access
Yeah.
the page
And
was
it's-
the hardest part and everything.
Well, yeah, and,
Yeah, and I have, if you want to come down to the office after, I can re-photocopy the instructions that were left
Which
for
I
me.
think I have.
Yep.
I think it's this.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, so I think I
Yeah.
have, but so the photos, because Anthony was taking pictures today, then will he give those?
So Christina already has like the flash drive
Yeah,
of those and
we're
there's some
already-
of them have been
yeah.
Okay.
edited, so.
And I did, he's gonna print out some, but I also saved them onto my desktop so that I have now access to the
Okay,
pictures,
all
so
right.
we can post it
All right.
somewhere, et
So
cetera.
how do we work, the advisory board and COA, in terms of our two websites here?
So I can't remember, I know we have friends listed on our specific page. I think we've linked to
you
your
can
page.
only link, because they're not an
Yeah.
official group for
Yep.
the town.
Yeah, but
per
you
se.
could link directly to our
So
group.
directly to your
Right.
page, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what's listed on
Right.
there. if
Because
it's
we used to
not.
be on the COA page.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So now we have kind of our own page. So
Okay.
I guess we can sort of think about what it is,
Yeah.
how we want it to look and feel. I mean, I think taking a picture of the board meeting is probably not the most
Yes.
exciting.
Yeah, but I think that I'm a little confused there about what this board would want in terms of images. I get what you guys would want in terms of images, but
Yeah.
I'm a little confused on this end.
And I guess that's one of the reasons we're going to talk, we're talking about it today. So to see what ideas people have.
Well, maybe activities, would it be, would it work to have images of the seniors in various activities that supposedly, we've suggested or urging people to try or do?
Well, the Memory Cafe, for example. And I had a quick conversation with you when I stopped by about, I have been the link between, the Memory Cafe happens, once a month. And I've been the link between
Lions Club.
the Lions Club,
Yeah.
yes. Because they're the ones, there's a marquee in the front of the building on Route 10, where there's all kinds of, events.
It's the one right in front of the building here.
The
Yeah.
letterboard.
They own that, that's sponsored by the Lions Club, so
all
they,
right.
Yeah.
they donated
The
that,
thing
so
is, you
they
try to
kind of
read it while
manage
you're
it.
driving, you can.
Well, I learned to slow down. Anyways, so I let them know when it's going to be, I sent him, this is Mr. Lumbre, all the dates, but who is going to be singing, who is going to be,
Does that go on the COA board page, or does that go on the COA?
Yeah, that's
So that's something
The
that's.
senior center, I think that's more of the senior center.
Yeah, I think you're talking about, she was the one, she was
She was
our
the
link to
liaison. Yeah, yeah.
the Lions
so that
Club
it
providing
appears
it
in
as well.
there.
Right.
And so if you can let me know ahead of time, I have the dates, but who is going to be it?
Right.
So that I can, I let him know the very beginning of the month, who is going to be it, and then he puts it up.
Yeah, great.
And most of the time, 90% of the times it's up ahead of time.
Yeah.
Unless the Lions Club has something
Something
big,
else.
like the
Yeah.
scholarships, like the
Yeah.
picnic, so it takes precedent for them.
Right.
So it's like really 90% of the time, it's up there on time. So
Nice.
if you just let me know.
So I think we have a new grant coming, hopefully, so
Yeah.
the memory cap, so, that may be, and we probably should, especially with Cynthia and Susan, that were instrumental in Kate putting the grant together, so you understand what you're
Yeah.
stepping into.
Right.
Hopefully,
Yes.
from Highland Valley Elder Services.
Yeah.
So,
Will they send an, like, how will we know?
There'll be an email.
Yeah.
sent
Okay,
out.
who's getting that email?
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, her email
Okay.
is the contact.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
they'll show up like Publishers Clearinghouse, the check.
So, I mean, I think that's a little bit off topic, but,
Yeah.
you know, I think, what do we want on the website, I guess?
Yeah, because I would, oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to go back to what Cindy said in her thing, that we have to educate the people. So I think that's a real question for quite a discussion and a plan for what we're going to do to educate people about what the firemen do, what, you know, what we do, whatever, and find that, and also make it very easy to access.
Yeah.
I want to speak as somebody who's very poor at that.
Yeah.
So in order to
Yeah.
get the people that we want, we've got to make it easy to access.
Yep.
Yeah, we should definitely link between the senior center and the COA board, so they can
Yeah.
flip back
Right.
and forth.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too about this, just the new site, just for a second, the very homepage has got a, how do I find, so you query something, so you can put in anything, dog licenses or whatever, and it will take you right to the page. So you don't have to spend your time looking for things. And the last thing is, everything goes up in either JPEG or PDF format, so that we are ADA accessible. So this American Disabilities Act, accessible, so somebody had a reader or whatever.
I have to excuse myself, I have a commitment at the Hiroshima. and
She
Nagasaki.
got permission prior to. No. Bye, Cynthia. See you later. Thank you. But yeah, we'll have to think, I mean, think about, I mean, between now and September, what kind of things do we want? We should have a link to the senior center page, for sure. And maybe, I don't know if we want pictures of the board members or something, I don't, you know, we could do a group photo or something, capture it in the next month.
Once you do these, revise your bylaws, if you're going to.
And get those up
you
there.
can put those up,
Yep.
for example, you know, things like this, or documents, it doesn't
That
have
are
to be photos,
pertinent
but
to the council.
relevant
Right.
documents.
Yeah.
Where that, right, the stuff that wouldn't be appropriate on the center. So
Right.
like, because like you had a great idea about showing pictures of, you know, activities and stuff going on, but that's.
Which is the-
What, that's what I feel like, not that it can't be both, but that's what I feel like
I'm
would
just
be
trying
on
to
the
figure out a
center.
way to make it interesting.
I know,
think to
I
put
know.
the-
It's harder
to put
on your end.
The bylaws on, you know, I'm not gonna.
I know,
if I'm
I
Joe,
know.
Well, if
anybody,
you
I'm
came to me
probably-
now and said, where are they? I'd say they're in my file FY '22.
What Cynthia was just saying about making it easy, accessible. You know, there's probably a lot of people who avoid that device like the plague. You know, I'm one of them. I hate my email because it's a chore, because it's delete, 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 delete. Oh, I didn't mean to delete that. You know, the
Trash, where's trash? I'm
out of 57 that was I needed, you know, then I have to go into trash and find it with its 5,000 things that I haven't yet got rid
Cleared,
of. So I
yeah.
tend to avoid it. I wish there was a way that we could get information out to people like the old-fashioned way, as well as electronically.
So, I mean, when we do the newsletter, like,
Yeah.
we mail it out probably twice a year. We have. If we continue with the same format and newsletter, I mean, those are
The
Like-
newsletter for,
the COA, the senior center, the senior
doesn't
scoop.
that come out every month?
It does.
It does, but we only mail it because it's pretty prohibitive to mail it
Unless
to
people
2,000 seniors.
Give
So,
you $15 for postage.
I think
or
they
something.
only pay 5 and it costs probably 10
Yeah.
for the year, but, so they're not making money on that. But yeah, they can pay to have it mailed. So if you wanted to have it mailed, if you or if you're here, it's reaching the people that don't come here
Right.
to activities, you know.
Because that mailing of the newsletter goes to all the seniors in town, right?
Right.
It's not just to the people that,
Right.
like, that had signed up or paid to get the newsletter,
Right,
which does
right.
go out every
Well, it's
month.
everywhere. I mean, I was at urgent care one day, so I grabbed one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have volunteers that come and drop them off at certain
Yeah,
locations.
right.
It's
So,
at
yeah,
Walgreens also.
Right.
It's at the library.
at the library.
Yes, at the
So I mean, that's,
Janet,
yes,
can I ask a question?
yeah, absolutely.
In terms of taking photos of seniors, is there something that needs to be done for permission to have their photos go out?
Yeah, I mean, when we do photos, I've been working very hard over the last couple of years to encourage that we don't take come and take photos of people without them being aware of it, and then we can't use the photos unless they give us their permission, yes. So I don't know if a document...
Would those photos just go, for example, in the senior scoop? Or does that permission, would it put it on Facebook, which is a much
Well, that's a
larger
good question, because
situation?
without thinking, I should have been thinking about that, but I haven't done anything yet, but I was thinking a few select ones maybe on our Facebook page, but yeah.
You can take pictures of people's backs.
Well, yeah, these
Yeah.
are backs though.
Yeah, I mean, but on Facebook, I mean, it's nice if you have a picture of a group, if there's like today.
Right.
I don't think we get permission for every single thing, but if it's going in a printed piece, I mean, we try to be very, go ahead.
Sorry, we have a photo. I created a photo waiver
Okay,
and gave it
good.
to Joan, and it includes, like, I give my permission to have this posted online for specific purposes, and it was something that I talked about with her, pulled some information for what my kids I have to sign for, like, the school if they get put on the website. Also pulled some stuff that I had done when we were with UMass. So it was basically a media release waiver, but with the understanding that it was going to be used for specific purposes.
Yeah, and I think that's an important tool. So
Yeah,
was
that's in the office.
Yeah, so we need to start
Yeah.
utilizing that. Yeah.
And would it be a permission to use the photo that links it with their name? Or just use their photo without their name?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's worded. I'm happy to share it back with the board if you want to review it. It's not anything we've used in the past. It was something that was created, and then I think it didn't go much farther than
Yeah, because
that.
I think, you know, we have a volunteer that is great at taking photos, but if you're new to the center and you're over playing pickleball and somebody's taking pictures, you're like, who is that person? Because they may not know that person. So I think it's important.
Yeah.
And I've tried to reemphasize that too. So you make a good point, Ted, and Kate, I'm glad you've started, and we
we'll
should see
talk
whether
about
it's,
that then.
I think before we go crazy, because we do, like for the newsletter and the Memory Cafe, we've tried to encourage them to, you can get the instructor in the front or the person that's entertaining, but with the backs of heads.
Right.
Like so.
But obviously pictures from today were, you know,
Right.
group shots, and it's people looking, you know, forward. So, right.
So if there's a couple of shots that you really want to use, like in the newsletter in 2 days, when it goes out, you may want to reach out to them to me before we use them, because I think it's important that we do that.
It seems so important to be able to use images, you know,
It
to support
is.
the center.
Yeah.
So could you put on the door of the senior center this like an image and say, if you do not want, you know, we often have lots of gatherings, if you don't want your image, wouldn't that be the way to do it, is to say, if you do not want your photo,
you have to opt out.
Exactly, as opposed to the other way around. I just think so much happens at the senior center that we could just, you know, if we want to move forward in the world, we need to use images. So give people an opportunity to opt out if they want to.
Or make an announcement at the event, that
Right.
thing too. I think one of the...
Okay.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, one of the things that I had concerns about is if we did take photos at Memory Cafe, there are individuals that are there that aren't likely gonna be able to give their consent.
Yeah.
And so
But
at
they
what
should
point-
be there with their caretaker.
Yes, and
who
so
can do that.
there was that aspect of the waiver as well, who is giving consent for the photo if this person can't do it. And I think that's why it kind of stalled for a little bit in terms of us starting that in the center.
Yeah, why don't you
specifically
work
in
with
regards-
Christina on it, I think, and-
Just one more. I think it does, kind of to the point you're saying, I think it makes it scary in some ways, though, when you have this official waiver, like you're signing your, right. I know, I wonder if there is sort of another way to do it, like, look, you know, when there's functions, certainly I would never want to use photos when people aren't even aware that someone's taking photos, but, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm just pointing it out that it's kind of scary when you're presented with like a waiver to sign.
We do that at pickleball, by the way.
No, and I get it, I do get it, but versus, why don't you just tell us if you have a problem with?
Yeah. And it could be that we start, if we plan on using the photos, that's when they sign.
My
Right.
experience,
Right.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
We're in an image-laden
You know, if you
world
take- I've had
now.
people
We just
say-
are, right?
Right.
That- That's
Do
not going
not
back
post
in the
this on
bottle,
Facebook.
Right.
right? So it seems
Very
to
clear.
me we
Yes.
approach it a different way now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on camera everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
I didn't sign away.
You're gonna have to do some legal stuff on active and passive assent, because
Yep.
there are major differences in those things, and if you get a passive, there are certain conditions that fits under, and that's a lot easier, obviously, So I think you're gonna probably have to
We'll
look
have
up
to
some
look
legal
into
stuff
it,
on
yeah.
that.
Okay.
Maybe the Massachusetts COA has.
Yeah, MCOA may
They
have
must
some
have.
forms that they're a ton of information, so.
Yeah, okay.
Great, okay, all good discussion,
Yeah.
yeah. It is, and it is important, I think, that, because I think we've it's been kind of loose, and I've had people say, I don't want my picture in that, and, I think it was a Tai Chi class or something, and it's like, who is that guy, They were kind of new to, maybe they like this, so I think it's important that we explore it before we go.
I just want approval, that's what I want.
Okay, you want to see the picture, not just general, I want to
I wanna
approve that
see it before
picture.
I could understand that.
And that might be a good
edit
starting point.
opportunities.
You know what I mean? Like if we like a
I
photo,
approve this
go
picture.
reaching out to that person saying,
Right.
are you okay if
Yeah.
we use this, having their approval and then signing the form.
Yeah.
So, but.
Okay, yeah, it's something we really need to,
Yeah.
it was kind of loose
I
over
was
the last few
joking,
years.
really, but yeah.
Yes.
I want
No, we know you're not, we know you're not, Donna. Okay, good discussion, thank you, and thanks, Susan, for your demonstration of the website.
Okay. Pray for me.
Okay, and it's kind of early, program coordinator, volunteer coordinator, update. We have a couple of applications for one or
Yeah,
something for
for the-
both, do you know?
So I only, in the
your 3 days.
office, found two, and they were actually in two different places, so who knows? There could be, I found 2 applications for program
Okay.
coordinator. I don't have anything for volunteer. When I had talked to Ed, who of course is on vacation this week, so I can't circle back with him, he had said that he thought he had an application that kind of lived with him, but I don't know for what position.
Okay.
So I think this is a big priority, because I know you kind of were waiting for a new director to come in to move on this. So my plan was, to circle back with him early next week when he's back. I think there's some need to maybe post it in more places.
Okay, because we did, it was this week on MCOA, the volunteer one?
Yeah, which is great.
Okay. So we
I'm
got
just
that up
thinking in
recently.
terms of it's still, the MCOA obviously only goes to people that are already in, which is great, not that you don't want those
Right.
people, but it doesn't mean the person we want is already working in a
And this
senior
position
center.
is?
For
So there's a volunteer
coordinator.
coordinator and a program coordinator.
Oh, okay.
And it's of course on
And
the
they
town
are
website.
Under
It's on the town.
you. are-
Right,
oh, okay,
which is
okay.
why, they were
So
waiting
this-
for the new director. But I just had the thought that still limit, unless you happen to be wanting to go to the Southampton website or you're already part of the senior center, you're not seeing it.
And I would post it even in the senior center, because people come in.
True,
I mean, I
yes.
think, how do we find you?
I looked on the town website.
You went to
I
the
was
town
looking for
website.
something close
Okay,
to home.
so I mean, sometimes it
But
works,
that's
but
pretty
it's,
unusual for you to have looked on that website, don't you think?
It took a little while to find it.
the old
On the old
Yeah.
website.
On the old
It's a
website,
miracle
yeah.
you're here.
So anyways,
But I wanted
it's
to
definitely
pass.
an active,
Limited hours,
I'll
my
be,
kiddos.
hopefully we can move forward with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be good to obviously get some more applications and possibly any applications on the volunteer coordinator if we don't
Yeah.
have any, so.
yeah, so did we post it with RSVP as well?
Yes, I did
Yes,
send it to
she
them,
told me
so
she did.
it should be again on their next newsletter that has popped out, or that
Okay.
is sent out. When I had initially emailed them, it wasn't on the town website yet.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a disconnect. in
Okay.
Them, because they link to our page.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Good,
But
good.
they have it.
So, yeah, we'll hopefully keep our fingers crossed and
Yes.
wherever, I mean, we did do Indeed, for example, for, I think,
The
the
director.
director's position.
Yeah.
And we didn't do, we did the no cost Indeed. And we
Right.
seem to do okay with that. In the past, we've had not such good experience with that. We've gotten all sorts of
Yeah.
people, but I don't, you may know of other places too that.
Christina, how did you see it? Your
It
position?
was on Indeed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting that doesn't, you'd think, I just assume looking for jobs now, everybody would look on Indeed.
Well, they may, but maybe not in Southampton for 32 hours a week or something.
Okay.
Or with the experience.
So
living in Western-
I had an alert for, senior center jobs.
Okay.
So,
So you didn't kind of go to that, you were already there.
Right,
waiting for
it's
something
right.
It would come your way.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And we can't put it at, say, Forbes Library, given, I don't know if you'd be looking for a young person, but a student that's coming in for a couple of years now, you'd think that might be one place. They're not going to come to the Southampton Library, but they might see it at a bigger library, maybe not.
Yeah, it's stuff to think about, certainly. Because, like I keep saying, I just feel like it's still kind of, it's limiting the audience right now for the position.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever we can do to, let us know how we
Yeah,
can
like
help.
Smith or UMass. UMass is maybe just too far away, but Smith isn't really
Smith
that
and Mount
far away.
Holyoke,
Yeah, okay.
those two are close by. It is
So I mean,
young population.
some people used to work at UMass.
Yes, it really is, yeah.
I prefer this commute.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, yeah, anything we can do to assist. We're always full of ideas, so, great. So I know Christina's hours have changed to 4, and then you have board meetings, there's luncheons coming up.
Yeah.
So, but the town hall is open from 8:30 to 4? Yeah, so that's, now when the senior center is open, it's not that we're gonna throw out programming immediately. So then Christina's leaving at 5 o'clock every day because the program starts at 3:30 or something.
Right,
But,
yeah.
but we'll have to try to help work with you to evolve and how do we,
Right.
as you said today, absorb what's here
Right.
and figure out, what would work later on. I mean, we used to have kind of late afternoon, either a tea or something, or some things that would go a little bit later in the day. But, I think that it'll give you some time to at least before you open the floodgates, right? So, okay. Okay, so Cindy gave the public safety update and Friends update from Susan.
All right, we met, was it yesterday?
Yes.
It was very well attended, the meeting, very exciting. The treasurer's report was very promising. The Friends of COA has something like 23,000 right now in a local bank account. And Francine asked, because they made so much money in part on this golf event, some $2,000 on the golf event, and I think it's unusual for Friends to have this kind of money. The group approved moving some $6,000, moving $9,000 to savings where we get almost 5%.
Like a CD, 11-month CD or something.
Yeah, and the 11 months, we already have an 11-month CD, but now, maybe we're at 7 months or something like that. But
Email went out to, just FYI, email went out today, because I have Easthampton savings.
Yeah,
that said, there was a 9-month at.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, all right.
FYI.
No, that's excellent.
And I think actually Easthampton donated to the
$500, I think. So there's good reason, even though I think there was some discussion about another bank where we might get a little better deal. Easthampton Savings has been so good.
Francine wanted to stick with them.
Exactly. Anyway, but that still means that there's some $6,000 that's liquid, even if we're trying to get with 2 other tranches, some almost 5%. Interest. So City did provide a written report about the feasibility study, but she already talked to us today. We talked about Celebrate Southampton, which we haven't brought up yet, right? So we did get, there is a spot reserved. They do have volunteers to cover this Saturday's event from 11
So there's
to
a table, the
3.
Friends have a table.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe a tent, I'm not sure.
There'll be a
Or
tent.
something, yeah.
Okay.
In my
A
garage.
table.
I should have saved my tent. Who knew? Anyway, there will be Friends of Membership forms there, the July or August newsletter. There's going to be a basket and a raffle. And I do know that Friends of COA contributes something like $250 for the Celebrate Southampton event every year. So there ends up being money that goes to seniors who request or need meals on
The grab and go on Friday.
Yeah.
And then Kate found out that
Yeah, Saturday they were giving out
apparently we were
vouchers as
supposed
well.
to be signing people up for.
Yeah, so it was good. We had 14 people sign up for the dinners and then 4 people sign up for Saturday as well.
Okay.
All right, and Janet came in to talk about the new senior center, and I'll
That's
just
on
skip
the
over that, and maybe we'll talk
Yep.
about that. We are planning a September picnic, and I think that is set right for the
September
11th.
11.
I'm not sure about the time for that.
I don't think we.
I think it's probably usually noon
But
to
it's-
2 or something, but we'll
Okay.
have to work with Megan. So in case her people are at the luncheon instead, I'm just wondering, you might
That
want to
makes sense.
give her a
Okay.
heads up on
Yeah.
that. If nobody signs up, that may be why.
Yeah.
And we'll also I think they'll take a moment to acknowledge what that day means to so many people in this country, so.
Yeah. All right, and we did talk about it. Was it? Oh no. After 3 years, it's so hard to believe that there hasn't been luncheons in close to 3 years, except for the May Cinco de Mayo. That was so fun. But the luncheons that used to occur at COA were something like 50 or 60
people.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
And that's
So
sponsored by the Friends of the COA?
Yes, well, there's a charge to it because the Friends is
Yeah.
a fundraising
Right,
arm. So
right.
there's a small $10 charge per person and
Okay.
they coordinate it, yeah.
but we've got the picnic set in September, so a luncheon won't happen then, but I think there'll be a plan
There'll be a picnic
October, yeah.
at the
Bring it
next
back.
Friends meeting to talk about an October luncheon event,
Okay.
okay?
Even no uptick
There's a
in
lot.
COVID.
There's a lot. This is a lot to take, when you come to the table with nothing. So it's, you
Well,
know.
you're asking great questions, that's what it's all about,
Well,
so thank you.
I'm looking, like, who are you? This
That is so beautiful.
I thought it was
Who the heck are
printed.
you?
Show her your-
I know.
Oh, no, in the
Yes.
print, I used to be like that.
You're so
No,
funny.
I mean, this is very
So fine. Anyway, but so I think, hopefully that covers,
Ted can't see it, but he'll check it out later.
I'll
Dennis
send
is
you a
a little
copy of my-
distant, too.
of my
His
penmanship.
Her notebook, yes. Compared to my notes. Compared to my notes.
spellings and
anyway, so I think that covers the meeting, and Janet, you'll talk, I don't know
Yeah,
if you're
about
gonna do it
the
now,
feasible-
about
yeah,
the
it's-
senior center.
And my next on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, great, thanks Susan,
Yep.
thanks for going yesterday. So the feasibility study, where are we with the new senior center? There's been a lot of questions about that. So a couple months ago, the town administrator at Gibson received a packet with a letter of assent attached, and in the packet, it showed how the executor and the attorney have divided the monies that were left. So we were listed for the senior center for some $2.4 million. So everybody that's a beneficiary gets an assent letter and have to return the assent letter by, I think it was July 19th. So everybody but one group returned the assent letter. So the Southampton Historical Society opted not to. They also have filed an affidavit to the probate and family court, which is a public document. It's online. Anybody can go see it. And it's basically stating that the purpose of this affidavit is to contest the proposal set forth by the personal representative and the attorney for the above entitled estate in requesting final settlement of the estate. So there's a full affidavit that was submitted to probate court, which kind of puts you know, just delays the process pretty much. It's when you file an objection, it needs a pretty detailed, factual affidavit. Some of the, and again, the document is available. It starts out, I, Tammy Lulonis, as duly elected president of the Southampton Historical Society, being duly sworn, depose, and state as the following under penalty of perjury. And that's when it states about that they're contesting what the executor and the attorney had agreed to and come to. So then it goes to probate. The call that I was going to come in today at 4:30, but I told the attorney that I'm not available, was to discuss, you know, what are the next steps and how long does this take, and get a perspective from them. And so I'm kind of waiting at this point in time. Again, I think personally, for what it's worth, for what my personal opinion is, we did meet the requirements. The executor said we did. The attorney said we did. That's why we got the assent forms to begin with. So this is just kind of like a little bit of a delay. For those of you that aren't familiar with the will, if we did not make the final steps, we meet the requirements of the will, then that $2.4 million would be divided 4 ways. 1 to the senior center, 1 to the Congregational Church, 1 to Shriners, and 25% to the Southampton Historical Society. So that's where we are with that. I don't see it just being anything more than probably a slight delay of the money being transferred to the town. So we're hoping to...
Tana?
Yes, Ted.
Yep. The Historical Society, that's a private society. They're paying their own legal fees to do this?
It's a private, I don't know how they're paying for that. There's no lawyer's name on this. So they are a private group. It's not the Historical Commission, which is a town commission, not to be confused with the Historical Commission. This is the Historical Society that kind of manages the Clark Chapman and so on. So yes, it's a private group. The town is not supporting this initiative from a financial perspective. Okay. Yep. So hopefully, again, I keep the landowner abreast of what's going on. He's very patient. He understands. Small town. He grew up here and lives here, so we'll just have to wait a little bit longer, I think, to get the money. I'm asking. I'm sorry, Chris stepped out, but I'm asking. I've asked the select board if they could start working on a charge for a building committee, because that's an important next step. And then within the building committee, we'll get a capital campaign committee going, because it's laid out pretty clearly in our final product that our next steps with the property we're going to build. We have a perk tests had been completed before the May 19th date of the will. I think, again, I don't see any reason we shouldn't start moving ahead with the building committee. I mean, the hard part is that there's 2 building committees, and we're going to have to do a lot of, we met, Sylvia and myself and Renee Groden met with a organization, a fundraising organization. We'll look at that. We'll work with friends. So, I mean, our goal is to, between grants and capital campaigning, to take the burden, carry the burden off of the town as much as possible, because it's tough. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought you were thinking out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions on that? I mean, again, it's a public document, so I didn't have any.
It's moving, it's moving.
It's moving. The turtle moves slowly.
And maybe this is obviously a question for Chris, but is there talk of there would have to be like an override or something for the town?
It depends on how much we're able to, raise. So chances are there'd be a debt exclusion or some override, but if we're talking about a $12 million senior center, we don't want that to be very big.
Right. Well, especially, I mean, I don't know anything about the funding, but for the public safety, but obviously they have that. They'll have that going on too. So.
Yeah, so it's lovely that he gave us the money. I think our first step, as was stated at by the town administrator at one of the meetings, was that once we receive the money, then the town, because the committee, the ad hoc committee is done. We haven't met since last April. But, you know, his comment was, his feeling is the first step we would take would be to buy the property. Okay, so, so as soon as we, you know, get that, we can do that. But we're just waiting for that to happen. So it's just, you know, it is what it is, so to speak.
Yes.
So it just takes a little bit longer, due diligence, and
Patience.
and patience, yes. Yes. Good things take time, right? So, all right. Any other questions? I mean, that's kind of where we're at with that. That was new news as of last night. I was trying to enjoy
So
Diana
that was
Krall.
recent.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, very recent. Okay, when Chris comes back in, I just see if she has any other updates for the select board, and any other business that we didn't cover today that you want to cover. Yes,
Can I say two quick things?
you can.
So I just want to acknowledge that we have 3 seniors turning 100 between last month and this month.
great.
And I'm sure Chris will probably speak to this. We're going to
Yes.
be honoring them this
Yes,
weekend.
indeed we
So
are.
Mary Balfour is very excited.
We're at the select board updates.
Oh, we are?
So we have perfect timing.
Okay. Well,
And Kate gave you an opening.
Oh, okay. Well, celebrate Southampton to start with, yeah.
Yes.
So obviously there's a couple events on Friday evening, so a grab-and-go dinner from the church and go over to the park for a concert with Barry Searle and his band, who's a local band, very popular.
They're good.
They're very good, yeah.
And the memory hour.
Yeah, so
at,
Memory Hour is at 10 o'clock at the Congregational Church on Saturday morning, and the topic there is going to be David Parsons and his kinfolk, and David Parsons is the person who has left the money to them.
So I encourage everybody
So I think
to
we
learn
go-
more about David
go
Parsons.
here, because
Yes.
So red is David.
The front
Yes.
page of the newspaper
David Red Parsons.
had
yes.
a big spread about the Parsons family.
On,
Where?
The Gazette,
oh, really?
Today?
A couple days ago.
a couple of days ago.
Was it David Parsons? Because there's different Parsons.
It's the whole family.
But I-
Is there 100 reunion? It's big. It's like 3 pages long
Oh, I think that's it.
on the Gazette. I have it. I haven't finished reading it, but it's like
I guess I should read the paper
Well, I guess,
occasionally.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Miriam Howland, who's a longtime town person and historian of sorts, she's going to be speaking about Red Parsons and his family. So that should be very interesting. It'll be from about 10 to 11, and then there's a little bit of a break. People usually start to gather over at the park around 11:30 at Conant Park. And basically, you can bring your own lunch for a picnic, or they will have a couple of food trucks there to buy food. And around noontime, hopefully, we're planning on having the birthday celebration. We've got confirmed anyway that all 3 birthday people and at least 1 or 2 members of their family are going to come. So we're going to try and get them in pretty much at the beginning of the afternoon, because I don't think they're going to want to stay too long. Basically just kind of honor them. Nothing too fancy. They haven't, they said don't make a big deal, So we've got a couple small things. We're gonna, small things of some flowers and a card. Actually, a lot of people signed. I know today, and then we're got a couple of surprises. We'll see if they come through. So I won't reveal them.
It won't be online for a couple of weeks.
Well, that's true.
But we won't tell anybody.
Is there a cane?
No, they already have the cane.
Okay, so one of the ones.
One of them has
Mary
the cane.
Balfour, who's the oldest one. She has the
Yes,
cane.
the cane. Okay.
She has the cane. The other 2 don't, obviously. Yep. So the other 2 are Leona Hendrick and Ted Hendrick, Theodore Hendrick, and they're actually brother sister-in-law. So
wow.
they're not husband and wife, but brother
So good
sister-in-law.
genes in that family.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah, so that's going to happen, and there'll be the Citizen of the Year award right around 12:30. That's usually something that the American Legion puts forward. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, it is.
It used to be, but I am not.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's American Legion that puts that forward, and people put in their ideas for who that should be to the American Legion. So it's always a big secret to know who that's going to be. And then there's usually something that I do, which is really a reminiscent tradition from what used to be Old Home Days. So way back in the 1800s, whatever, Old Home Days was a big thing here in Southampton, and there's wonderful photos, historical photos of the way people used to get together in their horse and buggy, and basically all of East Street was kind of cleared out. Well, there wasn't much to clear at the time. But it was full of tables and everybody in their, you know, fancy dress and top hats and whatever. They'd come for East Town picnics, and so Old Home Days is what it was called for years and years. And then when I was growing up, it was more also for people that had moved away from town that came back, especially for Old Home Days. So it got to be a big thing. So one of the things that gets done there is just a rose presentation. So we do a thing of oldest in town, youngest in town, who came the farthest, who's been married the longest, whatever. Just half a dozen, 7 or 8 questions.
Who has the most dogs?
Yeah, everybody, you know, those people, you know, just get a rose. So it's just kind of a fun tradition kind of thing. But there'll be, there's a craft fair, there's a whole bunch of raffle opportunities.
There's a dunk thing, and
one of our select board members so far, one, has volunteered to be in the dunk tank. We've got, what else is coming up? There's a barnyard petting zoo area, I think. Just a bunch of activities. So it's usually a fun afternoon. Goes to around 4 o'clock. Right? There'll be music, community chorus, and various other groups will be there. So it's usually
all at the park.
All at Conan Park and right around the pavilion area. Yeah. Okay. So it goes until about 4 o'clock. So from 11:30 to 4 at the park. But if you wanted to go hear the memory hour, that's from 10 to 11 at the church.
Mr. Parsons. Yes.
So that could be kind of great. True.
And did you have another item?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support the past month. Everybody's been checking in on me, so I just wanted to say thank you. It's greatly appreciated.
And Chris, could you comment on the going dark of dispatch?
Oh yeah.
Briefly. For those people that aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Maybe the seniors need to, So we have, our dispatch is housed in the basement of the old town hall in the police department. Basically, we have one person on at a time, and we have we've had 4 full-time dispatchers and 4 to 6 part-time dispatchers. And the dispatchers take all the 911 calls, and they're the first people. I mean, they're the ones that decide, they direct the traffic of what's supposed to happen. Is it a fire, is it an EMS, is it a, whatever. So they have to go through an incredible amount of training and certification to do that. Over time, we've been having trouble recruiting people to do this. And we have one person who's left recently, a full-time person, and the second one is leaving. One of them at least is going to another community where they can be paid probably $7 or $8 more than we can offer an hour. So there's no way we can be competitive in this kind of a market. So we're down to basically 2 full-time people and then a few part-time people, and we can't cover 24/7. So we have started talking. We had a presentation from both Easthampton Dispatch and Police and the Northampton Dispatch to see who could maybe help us out and kind of cover us, at least for the short term. And we've decided that we would go with our neighbor, Easthampton, to do the coverage for, so they will be picking up, I think they've already started picking up our 911 calls. And so they get the call, but it's still our people that respond. But it's we just don't have to have policemen sitting at the dispatch office. I mean, because that would be what it would be. We'd have to take a police person off the beat, so to speak, to be in the dispatch to answer telephone, which is kind of crazy.
How many police officers are there in town?
Got around 10-ish.
And there's an open position.
To the chief today.
I know, I'm going to say that, but I'm thinking around 10-ish.
Yeah, he was saying there's supposed to be 12
Okay, there you go, thank you.
But yeah, only because I just asked him today.
Pretty close.
And I think he said 4 part-time.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't sound like there was 12, because he said supposed to be.
He's recruiting right now.
He's recruiting right now, as a matter of fact, too. So anyway, so we will probably have maybe a 90, 120-day arrangement, a short-term arrangement with Easthampton to cover us, but at the same time, it's not likely that we're going to be able to fill these positions. So what's going to eventually happen is to look for a longer-term arrangement, either with Easthampton or Northampton, and that would mean that our dispatch goes dark. We will have nobody there. There will be a door people can get in. There will still be, if people drive up and have an emergency, they would still be able to get in, but there will be a screen. And there will be some sort of electronic device where somebody comes on immediately and says, can I help you? And it's like, I've got a problem. And then the person on the screen who's going to be at the dispatch in Easthampton, Northampton. So going dark means,
911.
yeah,
So there won't be anyone there.
there won't be anybody in our Southampton dispatch in maybe,
Unfortunate.
yeah, in a few months, for sure, yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure when people hear
So-
that the police are going dark, that they don't
Oh,
think we're
no.
losing the whole
No, no,
police,
no.
you know,
It's
because I've
just-
heard people go, what?
Oh, God, no, it's just the dispatch, and unfortunately, we've got to this point where it just doesn't look like we can work our way out of it. So this seems to be, and there's a push from the state to regionalize, and so this may be a first opportunity to kind of do that on a sort of a small scale in a way, but an important one, important decision to make nonetheless. And I know the police chief really tried very hard to avoid this. He has not been a fan of this idea for a long time, but he was really realizing that he was not finding people to cover the shifts, and you know, we can't afford to have just one police person on duty all the time either.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, we're working it through. It's still details to iron out, but it's just happened within the last 3 weeks. We've been talking about it basically, 2 weeks. Yes.
So the other quick thing that you missed was that we talked about moving forward with a senior center building
Yes.
committee soon, so in a charge, so.
Yeah. And I had brought up the topic at the last select board meeting, just saying, you know, it's time to sort of, let's start thinking about putting a charge together and getting some ideas out there for how this committee would form. Even though the money's not there, the money's going to be coming at some point, whether it's all or a fourth, there's money out there to be had, and there needs to be, you know, a committee starting to get together to be the building committee, because that was more of a feasibility committee the first time around. And so then deciding on the kinds of people that you would want on the committee, what kind of skills you want on the building committee, how many, always would recommend an odd number, and I think probably no more than 7-ish.
And we had 7 on the, 7 voting members.
Yeah, so somewhere there, but odd numbers so that when you have a vote, it's obviously there. But then any ideas for a charge, so the basic duties of what that building committee would do, and then those that would come into select board, or I can help work with you and draft something based on other ones we've seen, I guess. But it would come to select board to basically approve the charge and say, okay, there is a committee now that's going to exist, the building committee, and you know, it's open for, you know, getting applicants who want to be part of this committee based on
what was the
skill set.
response from the members of the select board?
Fine. It was just like they weren't thinking about it, because they said, well, you know, nothing's happening yet with the money and with the senior center. I said, true, but when it happens, we need to be ready to move. So,
right. Okay.
you know, whenever something happens, we need to not, you know, start tomorrow, you know, for something that should have happened, you know, last week. So, so I think we can kind of model it in a way after the public safety building committee. And maybe even some of the same skill set that you had in the feasibility study.
I know there are many people that were on the feasibility committee that are interested in moving forward on the building committee, if that's works.
So maybe it would be a situation. I mean, I'd like to have. I think it probably will be. We just keep it on the agenda, so we may or may not have anything to present till we write up something before Tuesday. But if not, we have another meeting on the 29th of August, and I would really like to have a charge of some sort to present to the select board then, so that people can vote on it.
Is there a building committee already established for the safety?
There's one for that, yes.
Cindy was the representative from that.
Yeah, and so that's obviously got, you know, fire chief, police chief, there's a couple of 3 or 4 at-large members, people that have got construction background, etc., architect kind of people. So depending on this kind of skill sets that you'd like, I would think they would be very similar actually. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a lengthy document. It's a one-pager with, you know, 7 or 8 kind of key duties for what that would look like. But yeah, we should work on it. If you have a chance, it would be good. We can talk.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks for the update.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, anything else that wasn't on the agenda? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second? Second. Okay, all in favor?
hi.
Aye. Great. Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.